Day 17 of the Bible in a Year Challenge is going to come from Exodus 5 through 6, Psalms 9, and Matthew 17. Exodus 5. Moses and Aaron speak to Pharaoh. After this presentation to Israel's leaders, Moses and Aaron went to see Pharaoh. They told him, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, for they must go out into the wilderness to hold a religious festival in my honor." "Is that so?" retorted Pharaoh. "And who is the Lord that I should listen to him and let Israel go? I don't know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." But Aaron and Moses persisted. "The God of the Hebrews has met with us," they declared. "Let us take a 3-day trip into the wilderness so we can offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. If we don't, we will surely die by disease or the sword." "Who do you think you are?" Pharaoh shouted. "Distracting the people from their tasks? Get back to work. Look, there are many people here in Egypt, and you are stopping them from doing their work." Making bricks without straw. That same day, Pharaoh sent this order to the slave drivers and foremen he had set over the people of Israel. "Do not supply the people with any more straw for making bricks. Let them get it themselves. But don't reduce their production quotas by a single brick. They obviously don't have enough to do. If they did, they wouldn't be talking about going to the wilderness to offer sacrifices to their God. Load them down with more work. Make them sweat. That will teach them to listen to these liars." So the slave drivers and foremen informed the people, "Pharaoh has ordered us not to provide straw for you. Go and get it yourselves. Find it wherever you can, but you must produce just as many bricks as before." So the people scattered throughout the land in search of straw. The slave drivers were brutal. "Meet your daily quota of bricks just as you did before," they demanded. Then they whipped the Israelite foreman in charge of the work crews. "Why haven't you met your quotas either yesterday or today?" they demanded. So the Israelite foreman went to Pharaoh and pleaded with him. "Please don't treat us like this," they begged. "We are given no straw, but we are still told to make as many bricks as before. We are beaten for something that isn't our fault. It is the fault of your slave drivers for making such unreasonable demands." But Pharaoh replied, "You're just lazy. You obviously don't have enough to do. If you did, you wouldn't be saying, 'Let us go so we can offer sacrifices to the Lord.' Now get back to work. No straw will be given to you, but you must deliver the regular quota of bricks." Since Pharaoh would not let up on his demands, the Israelite foremen could see that they were in serious trouble. As they left Pharaoh's court, they met Moses and Aaron, who were waiting outside for them. The foreman said to them, "May the Lord judge you for getting us into this terrible situation with Pharaoh and his officials. You've given them an excuse to kill us." So Moses went back to the Lord and protested. "Why have you mistreated your own people like this, Lord? Why did you send me? Since I gave Pharaoh your message, he has been even more brutal to your people. You have not even begun to rescue them." Chapter 6. Promises of deliverance. "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh," the Lord told Moses. "When he feels my powerful hand upon him, he will let the people go. In fact, he will be so anxious to get rid of them that he will force them to leave his land." And God continued, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, though I did not reveal my name, the Lord, to them. And I entered into a solemn covenant with them. Under its terms, I swore to give the land of Canaan where they were living. You can be sure that I have heard the groans of the people of Israel, who are now slaves to the Egyptians. I have remembered my covenant with them. Therefore, say to the Israelites, 'I am the Lord. I will free you from your slavery in Egypt. I will redeem you with mighty power and great acts of judgment. I will make you my own special people, and I will be your God. And you will know that I am the Lord your God, who has rescued you from your slavery in Egypt. I will bring you into the land I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It will be your very own property. I am the Lord.'" So Moses told the people what the Lord had said, but they wouldn't listen anymore. They had become too discouraged by the increasing burden of their slavery. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go back to Pharaoh and tell him to let the people of Israel leave Egypt." "But Lord," Moses objected, "my own people won't listen to me anymore. How can I expect Pharaoh to listen?" "I'm no orator." But the Lord ordered Moses and Aaron to return to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to demand that he let the people of Israel leave Egypt. The ancestors of Moses and Aaron. These are the ancestors of clans from some of Israel's tribes. The descendants of Reuben, Israel's oldest son, included Hanoch, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Their descendants became the clans of Reuben. The descendants of Simeon included Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, whose mother was a Canaanite. Their descendants became the clans of Simeon. These are the descendants of Levi, listed according to their family groups. In the first generation were Ker, Shon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi, their father, lived to be 137 years old. The descendants of Gershon included Libni and Shimei, each of whom is the ancestor of a clan. The descendants of Kohath included Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Kohath lived to be 133 years old. The descendants of Merari included Mali and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites listed according to their genealogies. Amram married his father's sister, Jochebed, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. So he married his aunt. Amram lived to be 137 years old. The descendants of Izhar included Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. The descendants of Uzziel included Mishael, Elzapham, and Sithri. Aaron married Elisheba, the daughter of Amminadab and sister of Nahshon, and she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eliezer, and Ithamar. The descendants of Korah included Asher, Elkanan, and Abiasaph. Their descendants became the clans of Korah. Eliezer, son of Aaron, married one of the daughters of Putiel, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the ancestors of the Levite clan listed according to their family groups. The Aaron and Moses named in this list are the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Lead all the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt, division by division." They are the ones who went to Pharaoh to ask permission to lead the people from the land of Egypt. At that time the Lord had said to them, "I am the Lord, give Pharaoh the message I have given you." This is the same Moses who had argued with the Lord, saying, "I can't do it. I'm no orator. Why should Pharaoh listen to me?" Psalms 9. I will thank you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of all the marvelous things you have done. I will be filled with joy because of you. I will sing praises to your name, O Most High. My enemies turn away and retreat. They are overthrown and destroyed before you. For you have judged in my favor. From your throne you have judged with fairness. You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have wiped out their names forever. My enemies have met their doom. Their cities are perpetual ruins. Even the memory of their uprooted cities is lost. But the Lord reigns forever. Executing judgment from his throne, he will judge the world with justice and rule the nation with fairness. The Lord is a shelter for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you, for you, O Lord, have never abandoned anyone who searches for you. Sing praises to the Lord who reigns in Jerusalem. Tell the world about his unforgettable deeds. For he who avenges murder cares for the helpless. He does not ignore those who cry to him for help. Lord, have mercy on me. See how I suffer at the hands of those who hate me. Snatch me back from the jaws of death. Save me so I can praise you publicly at Jerusalem's gates, so I can rejoice that you have rescued me. The nations have fallen into the pit they dug for others. They have been caught in their own trap. The Lord is known for his justice. The wicked have trapped themselves in their own snares. The wicked will go down to the grave. This is the fate of all the nations who ignore God, for the needy will not be forgotten forever. The hopes of the poor will not always be crushed. Arise, O Lord, do not let more mortals defy you. Let the nations be judged in your presence. Make them tremble in fear, O Lord. Let them know they are merely human. Matthew 17. The Transfiguration. 6 days later, Jesus took Peter and the two brothers, James and John, and led them up a high mountain. As the men watched, Jesus' appearance changed so that his face shone like the sun, and his clothing became dazzling white. Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appeared to begin talking with Jesus. Peter blurted out, "Lord, this is wonderful. If you want me to, I'll make 3 shrines, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." But even as he said it, a bright cloud came over them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, and I am fully pleased with him. Listen to him." The disciples were terrified and fell down on the ground. Jesus came over and touched them. "Get up," he said, "don't be afraid." And when they looked, they saw only Jesus with them. As they descended the mountain, Jesus commanded them, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until I, the Son of Man, have been raised from the dead." His disciples asked, "Why do the teachers of religious law insist that Elijah must return before the Messiah comes?" Jesus replied, "Elijah is indeed coming first to set everything in order. But I tell you, he has already come, but he wasn't recognized, and he was badly mistreated. And soon the Son of Man will also suffer at their hands." Then the disciples realized he had been speaking of John the Baptist. Jesus heals a demon-possessed boy. When they arrived at the foot of the mountain, a huge crowd was waiting for them. A man came and knelt before Jesus and said, "Lord, have mercy on my son because he has seizures and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire or into the water, so I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't heal him." Jesus replied, "You stubborn, faithless people, how long must I be with you until you believe? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." Then Jesus rebuked the demon in the boy, and it left him. From that moment the boy was well. Afterward the disciples asked Jesus privately, "Why can't we cast out that demon?" "You didn't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I assure you, You didn't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I assure you, even if you had faith as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it would move. Nothing would be impossible." Jesus again predicts his death. One day after they had returned to Galilee, Jesus told them, "The Son of Man is going to be betrayed. He'll be killed. But 3 days later he'll be raised from the dead." And the disciples' hearts were filled with grief. Payment of the temple tax. On their arrival in Capernaum, the tax collector for the temple tax came to Peter and asked him, "Doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Of course he does," Peter replied. Then he went to the house to talk to Jesus about it. But before he had a chance to speak, Jesus asked him, "What do you think, Peter? Do kings tax their own people, or the foreigners they have conquered?" "They tax the foreigners," Peter replied. "Well then," Jesus said, "the citizens are free. However, we don't want to offend them, so go down to the lake and throw in a line. Open the mouth of the first fish you catch, and you will find a coin. Take the coin and pay the tax for both of us."